Once upon a time, in a thick, green forest, there lived a little fox named Felix. Felix was not like the other foxes. While most of the other foxes were fast, clever, and daring, Felix was small, quiet, and shy. He loved to play, but he often watched from the sidelines as the others raced through the trees and played games in the meadow. Felix lived with his mother, Luna, in a cozy little den beneath a large oak tree. Luna was kind and patient, always encouraging Felix to join in and make new friends. But Felix would often feel his heart beat a little faster whenever the other animals approached him. "Felix," his mother would say softly, "it's okay to be different. You are special in your own way. Don't be afraid to show the world who you are." Felix would smile and nod, but deep inside, he felt unsure. What if the other animals didn't like him? What if they laughed at him because he wasn't as fast as the others? One sunny morning, as Felix was quietly playing with a stick by the edge of the forest, he heard a rustling sound. Curious, he peeked through the bushes and saw something that made his heart race with fear. It was a large, dark wolf with glowing eyes, creeping into the forest. Felix knew this wolf. His name was Shadow. Shadow was the biggest and meanest wolf in the forest, and he had a reputation for scaring other animals. Everyone feared him, even the biggest creatures in the woods. Felix's paws trembled, and his tail drooped. Shadow had been causing trouble for a long time, and no one had been able to stop him. He had taken the best hunting grounds for himself and scared away any animal who tried to stand up to him. Felix wanted to run and hide, but something deep inside told him that he couldn't just stand by and do nothing. He took a deep breath, his little heart pounding. Maybe he wasn't as strong or as fast as the other animals, but he had something they didn't, his bravery. Felix rushed to find his mother, Luna. When he found her, he could hardly catch his breath. "Mother," he cried. "Shadow is back. He's near the oak tree. He's scaring the animals." Luna's eyes widened in concern, but she kept calm. "Felix, we have to stay safe. The forest is big, and we should go deeper into the woods until Shadow leaves." Felix nodded, but his mind was racing. He knew his mother was right. It was safe to run and hide. But he couldn't shake the feeling that he had to do something. He didn't want to hide anymore. He wanted to protect his home, just like the brave foxes in the stories his mother had told him. The little fox turned to his mother with determination in his eyes. "I can't run, Mother. I need to stop Shadow. I'll do it my way." Luna's heart ached at the thought of her son facing such danger, but she could see the fire in his eyes. "Be careful, Felix," she whispered, nuzzling his fur. "You don't have to do this alone." But Felix was already on his way. He scampered quietly through the forest, his paws barely making a sound on the soft earth. He knew he had to think of a plan, and fast. As he moved through the trees, Felix spotted a group of animals huddling together, watching the situation unfold from a distance. There were squirrels, rabbits, and even a few birds. Felix knew he had to do something to get them to help him. They all looked scared, but Felix wasn't scared anymore. He was ready to be brave. He stood tall and called out, "Everyone! We need to work together. If we all help, we can stop Shadow from taking over the forest. It's our home, and we must protect it." The animals looked at Felix, unsure. They were afraid. They had never stood up to Shadow before. But Felix's words touched their hearts. He was small, but his bravery gave them hope. One by one, the animals stepped forward, ready to help in any way they could. Felix gathered them in a circle and whispered his plan. "We need to distract Shadow and lead him away from the forest. We can't defeat him, but we can outsmart him. If we work together, we can make it happen." The animals nodded, their fear slowly turning into courage. Felix knew this was their chance. With his heart pounding, Felix led the group of animals toward the edge of the forest where Shadow was lurking. Felix had a plan to use his quick thinking. He remembered the large rocks near the stream, and he knew Shadow wouldn't expect the animals to use them to their advantage. Felix and the other animals started gathering sticks, leaves, and rocks. They created a path of distractions that led Shadow away from the peaceful part of the forest. Felix knew that if they could get him close to the stream, they might be able to make him slip into the water. Shadow was so focused on getting what he wanted that he wouldn't notice their plan until it was too late. The animals worked together, setting traps and creating clever distractions. They even used the tall trees to create sounds that would lead Shadow deeper into the forest. Felix felt nervous but excited. He had never been a leader before, but now, in this moment, he was leading a group of animals who believed in him. When they were ready, Felix signaled for the animals to hide. Felix stayed close to the rocks, watching as Shadow slowly approached the trap. "Who dares to challenge me?" Shadow growled, his voice low and menacing. "You think you can stop me? I will crush you all." Felix stood tall, his little body trembling but his heart strong. "We don't want to fight you, Shadow," he called out. "But we won't let you take over our home anymore." Shadow growled again, stepping closer to Felix. "You think you can stop me, little fox? You are too small to make a difference." Felix's mind raced, and just as Shadow took another step toward him, Felix shouted, "Now!" The animals sprang into action. The squirrels ran up the trees, shaking branches to distract Shadow. The birds flew overhead, squawking loudly, while the rabbits hopped around, making it hard for Shadow to focus. Felix led the charge toward the stream, running in a zigzag pattern to confuse Shadow. The big wolf followed them, but as he stepped near the rocks, his paws slipped on the wet stones, and with a mighty splash, he fell into the stream. The forest went quiet for a moment. Shadow struggled in the water, growling angrily, but he couldn't get out. The current was too strong, and soon, he was swept away, further into the forest. Felix and the animals stood there, panting and watching. Shadow was gone. They had done it. The animals cheered, their voices echoing through the trees. Felix, the little fox who had always been afraid, had saved them all. From that day forward, Felix became a hero in the forest. The other animals no longer saw him as the shy, quiet fox. They saw him as brave, clever, and strong. Felix had shown them all that even the smallest among them could make a big difference if they were willing to be brave. Felix's mother, Luna, was so proud of him. She knew that Felix had always had the strength inside him, it just took a little courage to show it to the world. And so, Felix continued to live in the forest, but now, he was no longer alone on the sidelines. He had friends who believed in him, and he believed in himself too. The forest was peaceful again, and Felix learned that bravery wasn't about being the biggest or the fastest. It was about standing up for what was right, even when you were scared. Felix smiled as he looked up at the tall oak tree, where his den was. It was home. And he would always protect it, no matter what.